All right, now today on Contenders from Apple TV Plus, we have Defending Jacob, and this is a nail biter. Believe me, I've seen the whole thing, and it's like it's from a novel, and it is like a page turner throughout. So I'm so happy today to have three of the major players involved with this series, limited series. First off is Mark Baumbach, who is the showrunner, creator, and executive producer here, wrote all the scripts as well. Hello, Mark. Thanks for joining.
Hey, how are you, Pete?
And then we have Morton Tilden, Academy Award nominated director of The Imitation Game, Passengers, so many great things. Now has directed all the episodes here of Defending Jacob. Welcome, Morton.
Thanks, Pete.
And then one of the stars of the film, he is so good in this, so good in so many films. And that's Jaden Martell right here, who plays Jacob. Hi, Jaden.
Hi, Pete. How are you?
Well, welcome all. This series, like I said, is a real nail biter. Once you start watching, you can't stop, and you never know where it's going. Before we get started, let's give everybody a taste of what I'm talking about. Here's a clip from the show.
Your story has holes in it. I don't know why, and maybe you don't either. Our memories are often less reliable than we think, particularly in moments of stress. But if I were a juror, I'd have a lot of questions.
It's the truth. Not all the details. You messed me up on those.
Okay.
It's not okay. She just said the jury won't believe me.
That's why we're not going to put you on the witness stand.
I think that's wise.
How will I tell my story?
That's my job, not yours.
And what's his defense?
He doesn't need one.
What?
Burden of proof is on the prosecution.
Exactly. We're just going to attack their case until there is nothing left to attack. That's our defense.
Wow. You're going to have to watch the whole thing to understand everything that's going on in that scene as well. There's so much complexity to this, Mark. This is actually adapted from William Landay's novel, and you've adapted many great things before. You're no stranger to it. But this isn't the book necessarily. This is different. The book was told from the first-person account of the character played by Chris Evans, and you've changed that up quite a bit here. Can you tell us, give us the genesis here?
Yeah, that was really, in large part, my way into the book. The book is fantastic, but it is told in a particular way, and you only have access to other characters through the way Chris's character, Andy, perceives them. So in sort of retelling this in the most cinematic way possible, one of the first things I thought of was, well, let's make it much more of a kaleidoscope of characters and really explore this story from all different angles and not simply from Chris's. And in doing that, it really opens up other areas in the storytelling that I think really are about more than simply the thriller, but really what it means to be a parent, what it means to be a child, what it means to be a part of a community, and the disruption that happens, this very fragile thing that they've built that sort of has a ripple effect throughout all the characters and not simply really the person through whom you've seen the story, which is the way the novel is told.
Yeah, and boy, what casting, what you have playing those characters here. First of all, Chris Evans, really big screen movie star in the Avengers movies, Captain America, very different in this. And Michelle Dockery, much more, I think, than the book, really gets a fleshed out role here. And it's the dichotomy between the two that's fascinating to play out. And then Jaden, who you're never quite sure if this is a whodunit, you're never quite sure. Did he not? It's brilliantly played here by all of them. Morton, can you talk about it from that point of view of the casting and wanting to make this not an obvious kind of mystery where we know who did it right away?
Sure. First of all, I mean, the core here is this family. As I say, it's Chris' character, Michelle, and Jaden. And it was so fundamental that we actually believe that this is a family, and I couldn't be more happy with the chemistry that's between the three of them. Point of view is very important with the show, that we're constantly we're seeing this world through the two parents, and we don't know more than they do. And we wanted Jacob to be a mystery, an enigma. We wanted them to really go back and forth. That's sort of like the nightmare of any parents, like to not really know what to think about your own child, and still have the urge and the need. That's sort of like unconditional love, that you need to defend him, but you're not really sure, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? And that was something which I think Jaden just have done so wonderfully, because it's so hard as an actor. Usually you are supposed to communicate something very precise in the scene, something very specific. Jaden had to, in the scenes, communicate so many things at once. So you could, it's kind of like, have to just like guess a little bit what was going on with him, what's actually happening, what is he really feeling. And Jaden just blowing us away doing so many scenes, because that's kind of like the hardest thing to really do. That's sort of like enigmatic, sort of like mysterious performance, which you can't really pinpoint and do it believable and in a way that you feel you understand it.
It's fascinating, actually. Jaden, talk about it from your point of view. Had you actually read the book before you started shooting this show?
Well, I actually started reading the book during pre-production, but because of what Mark said, and I got about a chapter in, and I said I couldn't read this just because it is from Andy's perspective, and it wouldn't be good for me playing Jacob to know what Andy is thinking. And also, I think the characters are a little different. I think it was important for Mark and Morton to make Jacob more relatable and seem like a normal kid in a way. And so I just wanted to kind of separate the book from the show.
Yeah, I'm both for Mark and Morton, you've worked with these big screen projects, big movies and things. Of course, Mark with the Planet of the Apes movies, and just about every blockbuster in Hollywood he's had his finger into here and there. And Morton, of course, you too. But I felt this whole series, limited series television, had a very cinematic quality to it when I watched it, almost European in some ways too. When you look at it, it didn't look like the typical television production here on a more limited budget. Can you talk about that a little bit, Morton, in terms of the filmic style here and moving from big screen features to this and bringing that quality?
Yeah, John Freeman was the DP, and we looked at a lot of our, literally our favorite movies going into this. Mystic River, Michael Clayton, The Ice Storm, and we felt that this is kind of like the cinematic universe this series belongs to. And we said that this is going to be, we wanted the series to feel really close. We wanted to have that cinematic quality even if it felt intimate. So we want to have the intimacy of sort of like a TV show where you can actually really get to know the character, you spend more time with them, you get closer to them. But at the same time, we wanted to preserve sort of like the language of a, more traditional movie. So that was really fun to do, because it is sort of like an 8-hour movie in a way, and it's kind of like an interesting thing that's happening now with the limited series, where you are kind of going into sort of like the cinematic novel in a way, where if you're adapting a novel for a movie, you have to sort of like break it down into a 2-hour or 2.5-hour movie story. But with a limited series, we can sort of like really do justice to a novel. You can pace it out just like when you're reading a novel, and at the same time trying to preserve some of the cinematic language which we have developed with movies.
Well, it certainly worked for me. Let me tell you, I've been telling people about this ever since I saw it, and it's on Apple, obviously, and you can binge it to your heart's delight here. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today on Contenders. Mark Bombach, Morton Tilden, Jaden Martell, thank you so much.